Hello, I'm Michelle Wojcicki. Today we're going to be talking about mental illness in Oakland County, and specifically we have some guests from the Alliance for the Mentally Ill of Oakland County. Before we start talking to our guests, we'd like to show you a few minutes of a video about mental illness and some of the serious mental illnesses that patients deal with.
When we talk about the major mental illnesses, we usually mean schizophrenia, number 1, manic depressive psychosis, number 2, and major depression, number 3. Schizophrenia is a disease, a brain disease, characterized by hearing voices, by delusional thinking, and by thinking that is not logical, so the person can't think logically from A to B to C. Manic depression is a mood disorder where the person's moods may swing cyclically to become very euphoric or very, very depressed. And major depression is when it's the depression by itself.
We think that most of those illnesses are caused by inherited genetic vulnerabilities. There seems to be clearly neurochemical abnormalities in the way the person's brain functions.
The first sign of a depression usually begins with day-long fatigue. The person, no matter how much sleep they get, find themselves very sleepy, drowsy, and without energy. Subsequently, what unfolds is insomnia, either trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. They may also notice other, we call vegetative signs of depression. This can be loss of appetite, loss of weight, bowel changes. Now, these are just signs of the autonomic nervous system saying, body, you're not working right.
Depressive illnesses occur in all ages. More and more we see and can recognize depression in early childhood.
Manic depressive illness is one of a group of major problems with the mood. An individual who suffers from manic depressive illness experiences shifts in mood that will last anywhere from weeks to months. The individual will experience a period of elevated mood, perhaps euphoria, and that will alternate with periods of depression, sometimes severe depression.
Schizophrenia is quite different. It is a thinking disorder as well as a feeling state disorder. The thinking becomes disorganized, and the feelings frequently can become disorganized.
Most people with schizophrenia are quite normal until their late teens or early 20s. 3/4 of people with schizophrenia become afflicted with it between the ages of 17 and 25.
Which is manifest by hearing voices or having thoughts and delusions such as that people are persecuting them, or being depressed for no apparent reason at all. Their thinking becomes disorganized. You can't follow their sentences. Their feeling tone becomes distant and withdrawn. They're afraid to relate to people, and so they often put up walls and barriers.
But when people become withdrawn and isolate themselves, when people become uncommunicative, in many instances, some of the symptoms of schizophrenia in the teenage person are not unlike the symptoms of being a teenager. Teenagers tend to isolate and socially withdraw from their families, and that becomes complicated.
Joining us today from the Alliance for the Mentally Ill of Oakland County is Fred Cummins, who is a board member of the Alliance for Mental Illness. Welcome, Fred.
Hi.
Tell us about your organization.
Well, the Alliance for Mentally Ill of Oakland County is an organization based on bringing together families of persons who have serious mental illness. And our organization focuses on concerns within Oakland County. We're part of a larger organization. There's both a state organization to bring together local organizations across the state, and there's a national organization which brings together the organizations from all the states.
And you service families throughout Oakland County, so people who would receive your services obviously live in Oakland County?
Right. Basically, you know, we're not really a service organization per se, although we have a support organization, but we're working to help families through the support organization, provide educational materials, promote research in mental illness, and provide advocacy to try to improve the conditions and the services that are available through other sources.
If in a perfect world, what would you see your organization achieving? What would be your dream goal?
I suppose in a perfect world we wouldn't exist. The system would be doing everything that it should be doing. Basically, even in a perfect world, I think there would be a need for support groups for families to come together and help each other understand the problems of dealing with mental illness and understand what they're dealing with for education.
Fred, what does your organization do on a daily basis? What are some of the programs or activities that you provide?
Well, I think mostly, as I said, we have the support groups, and we have a phone for people to call to ask questions and learn about mental illness. We spend a lot of time providing literature and information, and we have a newsletter that goes out once a month to people who are on the mailing list. And a lot of our efforts go towards advocacy, towards improving the system. And in Oakland County, we focus most of our attention on Oakland County Community Mental Health Services and trying to improve the quality of those services, working through the Community Mental Health Board, which is the primary service provider.
Is that your biggest concern, how the process is handled for patients with mental illness?
That's a major concern. Mm-hmm. You know, back in the 50s, when it was first discovered that there could be medications for people with mental illness, there started a massive move people out of mental illness institutions, hospitals, and into the community. The problem was that was dealt with more as a matter of saving money than providing alternative services. So people moved into the communities, didn't have the services that they really needed to live effectively in the community, and now, you know, as increasingly we see people who are caught up in the criminal justice system, in jails and prisons for things that happened because of their illness, their inability to control themselves or to cope with reality, and through delusions or hallucinations, they do things that cause them to get caught up in the criminal justice system. Or we see people on the streets who are homeless. So we view these as a failure of the mental health system when people get caught up in jails and prisons and are on the street. So we're very concerned about that trend, and there's just a lot of concerns about how effective the system is in reaching people who are starting to have difficulties responding to their concerns promptly, getting them into treatment, getting them appropriate medication, and then providing them supports in the community so that they can have reasonable lives given the tremendous impact that those illnesses can have on them.
Fred, is the goal of the Alliance then to pick up where the system left off, or do you try and get the system to operate at the capacity it should?
A major part of our effort is really to get the system to operate the way it should.
How do you do that?
Well,
I think
that's not easy.
Get your work cut out for you, don't you?
A lot of it is a matter of education. You know, we put a lot of, besides educating our members so that they can be individual advocates for their person who's mentally ill, educating the community so that they understand what mental illness is about, trying to deal with the stigma of mental illness, because people in the community have all kinds of misconceptions about what mental illness is and fears of people with mental illness. And then trying to deal with changing the system so that the money is spent more effectively, that the services are more responsive, that the most severely ill people really get the services that they need. You know, the budget for community mental health in Oakland County is about $130 million. That's a lot of money every year.
Yes, it is.
And we believe that things, a lot more effective services could be developed with that money. We'd like to see that used more effectively.
How did the organization, the Alliance, come to be in Oakland County?
Well, I guess it started probably, I think about 1979 or 80, with a few people getting together to to talk about their concerns, to try to help their family members and learn from each other. And it grew over the years. My wife and I have been involved for about 10 years.
Very good. Well, we have some other guests from your organization that will talk a little bit about support groups and what else you do for families. Fred, appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
We'll be back with some more about the Alliance for the Mentally Ill of Oakland County in just a few minutes.